to the drawing board, big dog. Backs against the wall. That's when they start to stand tall, baby. All right, let's go. Episode 14 or 15. So here's first just gonna kind of start out with what the podcast is all about. You know, do our regular schmegular intro. The goal for the podcast is to add value to listeners by giving a real story of someone who maybe hasn't achieved a lot, and the different principles he applies to eventually become the best version of himself. Now, why I'm committed? It's a great way to both document growth, reminisce on fun moments, and remind myself that these things work out. But what I'm avoiding is vanity. It's about the struggle. It's about authenticity. It's about the L's. It's about taking those L's and turning them into W's, right? So we're going to summarize last week. Last week we didn't do an hour to ourselves, and what usually happens when you don't do an hour to yourself, you don't give your time to reset, your production falls off a cliff and you just kind of go through the motions, right? So we went through the motions. Funny how that works out, right? Yeah, so I zeroed out for 2 days and I followed Mason. That was pretty cool. I got a lot closer to him, which is interesting. I'll explain why in a moment. But yeah, man, you were just going through it, man. Going through the motions, just listening to an audiobook all day and not really being locked in at all, right? So now what we're going to do is we're going to do an hour to ourselves, and we're going to do one every single Sunday. And we're not going to do anything else until we do our hour to ourselves moving forward. But yeah, let's get right to it, right? Next update is 150 units ultimatum. So this was kind of discussed over at checkout, but with AJ, we had kind of agreed that, you know, if I'm not averaging over 150 units come like the end of like week 11, week 12, like I'm just not averaging that, then frankly, I'm not going to be allowed to sell anymore. You know, like the summer's going to end early, and honestly, my time with Southwestern might end. I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence about it, right? But I know 150 units isn't that crazy. I know I haven't hit it yet, but I know it's not that crazy. It's more just me not being specific about what my expectations are and how I'm going to get to it, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to get 150 units. We got to get 300 units by Sunday, 2 weeks from now, in order to keep selling for another month and a half. So we got to earn it. And if we earn it, make some more bread, you know what I'm saying? But yeah. Another update, looking at it's not really that relevant. We got 3 new customers in Wellington. I transitioned over from Ashford, Connecticut to Wellington. In Ashford, I was cooking, kind of. I wasn't selling big packages, but I was getting a lot of customers, lots of great PR. People love me in the area. And then I just kind of fell off a cliff. It doesn't help that this random dude named Eric, I put up at his house at 8:20, and he called the police or the town clerk lying to her, saying that I was there at 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock is not is way darker than 8:20. 8:20 is almost the same darkness as it's like 8 o'clock and 7:30. Like it's way different. But anywho, he called them saying all this, that, and the third, and then that affected my attitude, and I was scared to knock later and all this other stuff. And so I switched elementary schools, not because of him, but just because I ran out of people to talk to in the area. And then went over to Wellington, and in Wellington started a new area, ate dog water, zeroed out for 2 days, and just didn't produce. Yesterday I sold a core 4. That was pretty cool. But outside of that core 4 and like a cookbook and apps and websites, haven't sold shit there. So yeah, we're gonna figure that out. Right? And then 3 customers, and then another thing with Mason's actually moving on to Vermont. So he was working in an area called Palmer or whatever. I don't know if he might have had PR problems. He also might have had just like, I don't know. I can't really speculate. It doesn't really matter. It's not relevant. It doesn't really affect me. But he's moving over to Vermont with Jake and Robert and Prince to sell there. And so since he's moving over there, I'm the new HQ leader, which is kind of cool, actually. I think I'll thrive in a leadership position. where it's kind of like, I think I'll take more responsibility and ownership into the camaraderie of the people around me when I'm like the leader versus when I'm like a follower, which is kind of crazy. I think this is part of what Jeremy Perkins was talking about. Like, some people, their superpower is selling, their superpower, other people is like really good at recruiting, other people it's really good at leading. So I think, like, for me, obviously my superpower thus far hasn't really been selling, but I haven't really tried my hardest at recruiting yet, and I've never like led, you know? And so I think this is going to be a great opportunity for me to prove to myself that I could be an excellent leader. So I'm kind of excited about that. And then, yeah, we're going to go over to principles. One more update. I realized that a problem that I have is I just kind of go into the day and say whatever happens is going to happen, but I don't put any expectancy behind the day. And so because of that, I never like hit anything because I don't have a benchmark to hit in my mind. Like, it's not a number that I'm working for, right? So we're going to fix that. That's going to connect well to principles. The principles for this week: CSD, keep it simple, stupid, whichever one you want to utilize, right? So we're going to keep it super simple. We're going to use the sales talk, right? And we're going to use the European sales talk. And I'm just going to like work with that. And I'm just going to read that every goal period and just work on that. Cause yeah, I'm just gonna work on the sales talk. Cause I've realized I'm already in the habit of using the same sales talk that I've kind of created throughout the weeks. And the problem with it is just that it doesn't really generate a lot of interest. And it's a really bad intro, to be honest. And so I gotta improve my intro, but I'm out here bullshitting my own intro and Frankensteining my own intro off of random holidays and what I hear from people. And I'm just thinking too much and I'm not very present, so I just gotta get really consistent about using the same sales talk. So from here on out, I'm using the European sales talk, right? The second thing, kind of like I just did right there, is breathe. Keep it simple, stupid. Breathe. I'm in the habit of talking so much and being out of breath, and I'm saying what I'm trying to say and interrupting people and all this stuff. And what I got to do is I just got to breathe. I just got to inhale and exhale and inhale and exhale. And when I'm saying stuff, say it in a more low and slow, not low and slow, but more in like a medium paced fashion. That way the people that I'm talking to can actually understand me. All right. The third principle that I've realized that kind of goes together with no expectancy in going with like the intro is getting the kids out, of being more persistent and into the details about getting the kids out. You know, if they say, oh yeah, he's asleep, like, oh yeah, can we grab him? You know, just kind of like being more pushy about it. You know, like I'm not a pushy salesperson for trying to get the kids out. I'm a smart salesperson for trying to get the kids out, because they're the ones that are going to use it, and it doesn't make sense for the parents to be the ones to look at something that they're not going to be the one interacting with it anyway. You know, unless it's like the kid stuff for like a baby, it just doesn't make a lot of sense. So yeah. And also what I've come to find looking at it is when the kids come out, it's barbecue chicken. When the kids come out, free eats. Literally, like, once the kids come out, I connect with them really well because I'm just a really friendly dude, and they buy. A lot of times they buy. Like 3/4 of the time when the kids come out, they buy. Like, I can't really look back and think of a time where I was showing it to the kids and the parents didn't buy. You know what I mean? So like, yeah. Kids come out to barbecue chicken. New commitments for the week. Super duper simple. Goals: 180 demos and 72 sit downs. And then the other goal is to sell 7 core 4s this week. 7 core 4s. It means one day I'm gonna have to sell 2 core 4s, but I want to sell 7 core 4s this week. All right, because if I sell 7 core 4s this week, I'm golden, right? So 100, right? And so in order to, the habits necessary to hit that goal is high energy in the first 3 minutes of the sit down. Like, not going into it, like setting the momentum off right, that like I'm a person to vibe with and I'm like a homie and this is like tons of fun. I'm not just a salesperson going through a spiel. I'm like a fun college student that you should invest in, right? And the other part is just high energy in it sets really good momentum for me throughout the sit down, so that I can just lock in on them and lock in on being excited to be there, so that they don't get bored, because it's all a transfer of feelings. If I seem like I'm bored and going through the motions, they're not gonna buy because I'm bored and going through the motions. So I can't have that happen. And the goals that I need to hit in order to cement that are 5 and 2. So 5 sit demos and 2 sits each goal period. That's the goal. 5 and 2, right? Habits. Every sit down, high amount of energy, and then read intro out loud before gravy and lunch. We're just gonna get really good at the intro and just getting everyone involved, right? And then difference makers and focuses. Technical, ask for the kids in every single sit down. If I'm talking to a family and I'm sitting down with the mom, where them fucking kids at? I need them motherfuckers here. And if they're not motherfucking here and I'm trying to show you advantage, unless they're like under 3rd grade, fuck this sit down. I'm gonna set up a time to come back when the kids are there so they can take a look at it, because they're the ones that are gonna benefit the most from it, right? Emotionally, speak aloud about your expectancies every single goal period. I'm gonna do the morning thing. I'm gonna do the morning thing where I create a box for the customers, and I'm just gonna put 3 boxes for core 4s. And I'm gonna get 3 core 4s sold today, and that's kind of like my mindset. Just 3 core 4s sold today, right? And then the last affirmation is there's 10 core 4s for me this week. There's 10 of them. If I'm getting 12 sit downs a day, there's no reason why I don't get the kids out on like 8 or 9 of those sit downs, and I don't close on a core 4 on 3 or 4 of them. There's just no reason, you know what I mean? Like, I have the skills to do it. My demo is fire, you know? I just gotta stop thinking and keep it simple, right? So the affirmation, there's 10 core 4s for me. I just gotta have the focus and attitude so that when I find them, I can capitalize on them. The second affirmation is I'm a professional, you know? I'm a professional, you know? I don't get, one of the things I was looking through the weaknesses, I was looking through the chart that I did back when. It's like it was like the little like Google Forms thing that I did to ask people about my strengths and weaknesses. One of the inputs that I got a lot was lack of professionalism and just lack of focus when I'm talking to people. And I think that's like so evident this summer, because I've had a lot of sit downs where I get carried away talking about random shit, and then they end up losing focus with me, and then I'm cool with them, I'm building rapport, sure, but then it's like fucked, you know what I mean? So yeah, just stay. I'm a professional. I know what I'm talking about. I'm going to talk about it, right? And then the third thing is keep it simple, you know? You're getting, I'm getting lapped by people that are 50% dumber than you because I'm overthinking shit. Just aim, fire, and then correct it later. Aim, fire, and correct it later. If something's not working, correct it later. But aim, fire, correct it later. Stop overthinking shit. You know what works. You know how to do what you're doing. You're going to do amazing at it. Outside of that, that's really all I got for you, big bro. Appreciate the fuck out of you. And we're gonna slaughter this. Let's go.